What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and I'm here with
Gersh1.
And today we're back at it, answering your questions in a quarantined episode of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. That is what Tin Man 40,000 did. He asks, "Hey Syndicate, Tin Man again. I'm trying to make my own Lost Primarch story, so I have a question. Can a Primarch be a blank?" So there hasn't been any Primarch that's a blank, that's for sure. Even the most, or the least psychic ones, like Lehman Russ, still had some psychic abilities. But yeah, you can definitely make a Primaris, or a Primarch, a blank.
Yeah. The thing about the Lost Primarchs is that we don't know what they are. There's very little, concrete lore on it.
Yeah.
So that kind of opens up a whole new avenue for you to explore.
Yeah, so before we get into the talking about the Primarchs, just for all those that don't know, a blank, also referred to as like a null or somebody that has the pariah gene, they're basically people that don't register in the warp.
Mm-hmm.
And for a human not to register in the warp, that's extremely odd. They're not like just the Tau that is just like, oh, okay, yeah, they're just like a candle as opposed to like a flame. But when a human is a blank, he usually tends to be an outcast. He usually tends to be someone you don't want to be around. You know, like that one kid in school that smelled really bad.
Socially awkward.
Dirty, like he had that grime behind his ears. That guy, basically. Mm-hmm. But just in like an essence. Because a blank can be clean. He just feels dirty to you. But yeah, so that's what a blank is.
Right. And the thing with the Lost Primarchs is that we know there was two of them. We know one was lost and the other one was damned.
Yeah.
So that really can mean anything. And the whole thing about it is that the Emperor enacted the Edict of Obliteration, which completely removes any symbols, records, any history on them from existence, or to the best of their ability. They were still, plinths of the Primarchs.
Yeah.
And they even allude that all the remaining Primarchs, like all the 18 of them, were mind wiped or had some type of barrier placed on their brains so that they wouldn't be able to remember them. So it's very weird and very, I don't know. It's
supposed to be mysterious.
Yeah.
And really, so Games Workshop uses the Lost Primarchs as a way for you to create your own Primarch Legion. And yes, you can make them a blink. That would make sense for the Lost.
Yeah.
Because if you are a blank and you are just naturally unliked by society, you're the opposite of what a Primarch is supposed to be. A Primarch is supposed to be charismatic and it's supposed to be really well, just liked by people, because he commands people. If you have a blank Primarch, it would make sense that he would be lost in the sense where he runs away. So he's actually one that turns his back on the Emperor, not because of chaos, not because he thinks that he can rule better, but just because he has that natural essence of nobody likes him.
Right, the loner mentality.
Yeah, he's like Eugene from Hey Arnold.
That's exactly what I was thinking about this whole time.
Except without getting hurt.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, definitely created. What are the interesting things about a blank that you can do?
Not be affected by warp powers.
Yeah.
Have a little warp bubble around you.
You could always connect the Exorcist chapter, which is supposed to be a chapter that might have been descended from the Grey Knights, but their whole thing is that they're full of blanks. So maybe the gene of the Exorcist actually is somehow connected to the Primarch that you're creating. If you guys can think of anything to help this guy out, just comment down in the comment section below. I really like these types of questions where we build upon the lore and help you guys build on it.
Yeah. On top of that, since you are creating your own Lost Legion, this guy over here, I can't plug his video enough. It's amazing. How to create your own homebrew chapters. Really, really the way to go.
Yeah, there's a blueprint to it. Yeah. And you have your whole Celestial Sons. So you created a whole Primarch, and you even got artwork and all that kind of stuff done.
Yeah, I got artwork commissioned, minis commissioned. Yeah, check it out.
Yeah,
I've got
There's a playlist, right?
Yeah, I've got the whole lore and then a 45-minute video. Half the lore. I've been stuck for a year now. That's why it hasn't been updated, but check it out.
Yeah, but that's a good point too. So like if you are creating a Primarch, or you're creating your own chapter, it's okay to get stuck. It's okay to like put it aside, go play orcs for a little bit, and then come back to that army you were painting or building, or writing the lore for later on. So yeah, keep that in mind too.
Yeah, because you've been doing that for what, 15 years?
Yeah, mine's a little different. It's called laziness. Mm-hmm. Next question comes from
Timothy Armstrong. When you guys play Dungeons and Dragons, what are your favorite races and classes to play? Mine is an elf because they're so versatile in 5th edition.
I think elves are lame.
Yeah, elves are very cliche. I'll give you that.
Yeah, they're the Eldar. Yeah, the Eldar, you're dead. Or dying.
They can't reproduce because it's Slanesh.
Yeah.
But check out the other channel we got going on, Dungeon Hammer, for all things D&D.
We actually have a video that says what is the worst race to play in D&D, and I think the best race. Have we done that yet? We might not.
We might not have, but it's in the works.
Yeah. So what's your favorite race and class?
Easily, Warlock is my favorite class. I don't know, it just seems like you have to play a little more out of the box since you're not the best fighter and you're not the best spellcaster. You're kind of mixing a little bit of both, so you kind of have to like role play your way around certain situations. And race, probably Aasimar, because it has the word ass in it.
Yeah. I like the Kenku, or the Aarakocra. I like birds. I like the fact that he can fly 50 feet or whatever. That's awesome to start off. Just
level 1 with 50 feet flying is OP.
Yeah, and then for class, I really like the druid. I've only played a druid once, but like when I'm building a character, I always somehow come back to like nature. Because whenever I think of fantasy, I do think like nature. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know, Warforged is like the opposite of that.
Yeah, the one you played for that small little campaign that we did last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, subscribe to the Dungeon Hammer channel. We'll update it eventually. I mean, we have podcasts every Thursday, but yeah. Next question.
This one's by Corey Black. What do you see happening in the 51st millennia? Or how do you think the galaxy will look by the end of 40K?
I don't think that there's going to be the whole idea of like the end times in 50K. I honestly think that there will be more Primarchs, both loyalists and traitors, and the story will progress.
When you say more Primarchs, you mean like more will be coming back?
Yeah.
Or they're going to create more Primarchs?
No. They'll come back. More Primarchs will be back. But I don't ever think that it's going to be like the end times like it was for the Old Age. What's it called, the Old Age?
The Old World? Something like that.
Old World, yeah.
Yeah.
For Warhammer Fantasy.
Right.
So I don't think that will happen. And I don't ever think that the Emperor is going to get off the Golden Throne. But we've been wrong a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind.
Speaking of being wrong, Lionel Johnson has returned.
Oh, yeah.
To the Horus Heresy lineup. Yeah.
The Primarchs for the Forge World line look so much better than Guilliman. Well, that's really just Guilliman.
Yeah. Mortarion and Magnus are pretty cool.
I like I like him without the helmet. The helmet, I think, looks kind of goofy. Mm-hmm. But I think that's just an aesthetic thing. Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
So maybe Lehman Russ will be coming back since he's already back in Forge World.
Yeah. Next question comes from Lord Zemnas. Zemnas, yeah. Who were the top 10 best legions during the Great Crusade? That's a funny. That's funny because one of you guys, I created a 40 facts video on the Battle of Thal, like the Imperial Fist versus the Iron Warriors, and somebody commented that the Imperial Fists were actually one of the strongest legions during the Great Crusade, because I was criticizing Dorne's decision to send his men to go fight the traitors when he knew that the Salamanders, the Raven Guard, and the what was the other one? The Iron Hands were marked by the traitors. Yeah. But it turned out that he did that because the Imperial Fists were significantly stronger than the 3 legions. The 3 legions were actually some of the weakest.
But still, though, like, if you have the strongest legion, that means you could easily mop the floor with whatever stragglers were left and rescue everybody out.
Yeah, I do think that part of it is pride. So I think that the Imperial Fist have that natural prideness that is bad, but I do think that the Imperial Fist, the Ultramarines, top 10, huh?
I was gonna say maybe the Luna Wolves.
Yeah, the Luna Wolves for sure. And then I feel like the World Eaters are really good. They were just aggressive tactics was really good.
Yeah.
The Dark Angels also. I don't think they were suffering too bad.
Blood Angels, they already had the Red Thirst going on.
Yeah.
So because of that, I wouldn't put them in the top 10.
Salamanders were kind of weak. Iron Warriors were also kind of weak. Raven Guard. Oh, they were also being they had problems too, right?
Yeah, they had like mutations going on and stuff.
Yeah. I think the Word Bearers would be another one of the ones that is top there, or in the top list, because during the betrayal at Calth, they were going up against the Ultramarines and they beat them, kind of.
Yeah, somewhat.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I easily top 3 Ultramarines, Imperial Fists, and would you say Luna Wolves?
Luna Wolves, yeah.
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 Not necessarily in that order, but top 3.
Yeah. Next one.
This one is by Caboose NZ69. Hey guys, long-time viewer, and yes, I am a Kiwi. Those are good.
Is a Kiwi, is that a specific, like, term for...
Like Australians?
I thought that's what it was.
Yeah. Or the fruit, or the bird.
In Hispanic culture, when you're called Kiwi... Never mind.
His question is, who's the oldest living or lived orc in all of 40K history?
I've answered this question a lot.
Is it the Beast?
No, there is none. They're like, because you don't really know the origins of most of the named characters of the orcs. God School is definitely not the oldest. The Beast from the Beast books is a completely different beast than what we have now, because this is the Prophet, and I think it's just a title that gets carried over.
Yeah.
And that's another problem when you're trying to figure out how old an orc is. Half the time, their names are titles that were earned from killing a previous person, like the arsonists of something or another. That's one of the famous ones. But that's just a title, and it's always like moving and stuff like that.
All right, and then orcs get bigger the more they fight, right?
Yep.
Do they also get bigger the more they've lived, like naturally, or no?
No, I don't think naturally. I think it's all has to do with the aggression. Because one of my favorite models that GW created for the orcs was the old school metal Big Mac. And his face looked old. So I think the whole thing was that like a Big Mac is going to live longer than a regular war boss because he's not in conflict as much, but he still earns that aggression from serving war bosses, and he can live longer, but he's not going to be as big as a war boss.
I gotcha.
But yeah.
So yeah, it's very tricky then.
Very tricky.
It's not like you could just cut one in half and count the rings, right?
Yeah. I was watching a TikTok, and the guy cut down a tree, and like water just poured from the core. I guess it was a hollow tree, and it was like collecting water. But I just brought that up because we have a TikTok now. So go follow us on TikTok, OneMindSyndicate.
Last question or no?
We got a couple more.
Okay. This one's by Defool06. How many Phoenix Lords are there, and where are they? So there's 5 Phoenix Lords, one for each aspect of the warrior. So you've got the Warp Spiders, Striking Scorpions, the Guardians, Banshees. I'm missing one. The Death Death Reapers, I think that's what they're called.
Stalkers, Death
Stalkers, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if this counts, but Forge World, I think they have one with like the bluest specters or whatever they're called. So that disproves it if it's right.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so the one for every aspect shrine. Or it's just aspect. Is it just called aspect, or is it the aspect shrine?
I don't know. I said aspect warriors.
Yeah, so like
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever the path of the warrior tells you to do. Eldar lore is cool. It's just like it's really new to me, so I'm like barely figuring it out again because I think elves are dumb.
Even dark elves.
Especially dark elves. This question comes from Din Tran. Has any group forced into worshipping chaos? You do have to willingly give yourself to chaos to be gifted, right? That's a good question. In order for you to receive the powers of a chaos god, yes, you do have to be a worshiper. You can't be forced into it, but that doesn't mean that bad things can't happen to you because of chaos and having it forced onto you. For the most part, a demon host is... When a demon host is created, the sacrifice is an unknowing person. Check out our 40 facts on how to create a demon host or how to summon a demon. I forget what I titled it. But basically, it is that concept of like you kidnap somebody, you put them in some type of ritual, and then you have a demon inhabit his body. And then there are other like Space Marine chapters or Space Marine units that are captured and turned into like bad guys, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are they called? Are they damned? No.
No, they're
Possessed, maybe?
Because I think possessed are Chaos Space Marines that have willingly given their body to the demons.
Oh, well, maybe that's what I was thinking.
Or maybe those are greater possessed. Yeah.
But
I never liked possessed for Chaos, so I never really looked into that lore.
Are they slow?
They're not slow, but it's like sometimes you have like random mutations. Like let's say you have a squad and like you roll on the table and you get like +1 toughness. Like
Okay.
if they're meant to be like up in your face and attacking. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Good question though. And then this will be the last question. What do you have?
We already did that one. Ooh, impulse in the ozone. Has there ever been any instances of time travel within the 40K universe?
Yeah, there's actually an entire ordo dedicated to figuring that out. It's called the Ordo Cronus. Check out our 40 facts on the Ordo Cronus. And then the examples are, like, I'll give you my example for the orcs. There was an orc war boss who jumped into the warp. The warp had, like, time-bending abilities. He came out of the warp 30 seconds before, or I think it's like 30 minutes before he went into the warp. So there was 2 copies of his favorite gun. So he instantly attacked himself from the past. So those 2 walls basically collided with one another and created an even bigger wall once the one that time traveled was able to kill his old self and take the gun. So now he had 2 guns, 2 of his favorite guns, and he had an even bigger wall. So there's that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The one that I keep thinking about whenever time travel gets involved is with the Necrons. There was a cryptic chronophage who saw like a huge battle, like he foresaw a huge battle with the Space Marines and that he was going to die, and he kept trying to go back in time to kind of change the way of certain events, and no matter what he did, the same thing kept happening. Like he saw the vision right before he was about to die, but then he kept going back in time, so he was almost stuck in this loop where is death better than that? Maybe.
Yeah. The interesting thing about time travel in 40K is it's very like wonky. Like it doesn't make sense, but then sometimes it does make sense. So Minute Science created a video. Minute Science is like another YouTube channel for like science stuff, and they created a video and they explained the different ways that sci-fi or fantasy worlds have interpreted time travel, and you can find, he lists like 4 or 5 ways, and you can find each one of those within a story in 40K. So time travel is definitely a thing. It's just like it cannot be controlled by anybody, not even like the psychically powerful Eldar.
Yeah. Or even the Chaos Gods, because that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Apparently they were always there, but then you have like the birth of Slanesh. How do you have the beginning of a god if they were always there?
Yeah, and so time travel is always going to be connected with that idea of the warp or the immaterium just being like not of time and space.
Right.
Therefore, it works differently. Lysander, too, this is not really, I guess it's kind of like time travel, but like the whole story of Lysander is that he went into the warp, got stuck in the warp, came out, like years and years later, and then he had to fight his way back to the Imperial Fist. But by the time he got back to the Imperial Fist, all of the brothers that he fought with were now like either dead or they were dreadnoughts. So it's like Lysander is actually an ancient Imperial Fist that
brought to modern times.
Yeah, that's like now, and he's probably gonna get a Primaris upgrade at some point.
I thought he was with like the supplement.
Yeah. It's a good thing they didn't though, because then it would have been little hand Lysander.
He doesn't have a little hand; he just has a big hand.
Which makes the little hand look big, little, or the regular hand look little. And those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. We enjoy answering these questions, and let's help each other out too in the comment section. So if you hear a question and you have your 2 cents in on it, throw it in there so that the person can read, especially with the whole Primarch thing.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Thanks again, guys, and as always, we'll see you in the next one. This has been the Sound Alchemist,
Gershwan,
and we are out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.